If you love the idea of mindful eating and healthy living, join me, Izelle Hoffman, lifestyle chef, food editor, and author, as we explore ways of achieving health and balance. My name is Izelle Hoffman, and this week we're talking about health, wellness, and longevity. And we have an interesting studio guest. She's absolutely gorgeous. She does believe in be the difference that you want to see in the world. Dr. Melinda Burger, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Now, we're going to be talking about mindfulness and how it links to our perception of ourselves. And that, of course, ties in perfectly with what you do, being an award-winning aesthetics doctor. What does mindful living mean to you?
So mindful living to me definitely means to take care of your mind, body and soul, obviously. But pertaining to aesthetics, what I do every single day of my life, I definitely feel like that pertains to your not only your body but also your mind, because if you treat your body, your mind will change.
Yes.
And that's why I feel like if you do aesthetics, it is the same as self-love. If you do your nails or you color your hair because you don't want to be gray, you're looking after yourself, you can take care of yourself, and obviously you feel good on the inside when you've just done your hair. And
Yes.
it's the same thing when you do aesthetics with me. You will feel better about yourself.
Well, we're going to be talking all about aesthetics in just a minute, but I do love the fact that you said self-care, self-love, because I'm a firm believer you always need to strive to be the healthiest and best version of yourself, not
Yes.
only for yourself but also for your loved ones, because if you feel confident and good about yourself, we're going to be in such a better mindset, and then that is going to have a ripple effect on the people we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely. And what you do every day, it will also have an influence on how you approach your life.
Definitely. But let's just start. Why Dr. Melinda, and share some highlights for 2022 so far.
Okay, so why Dr. Melinda? So I've always been passionate about helping people, and obviously that's why I studied medicine, but I've also, I'm an artist. So I feel like aesthetics was the best of both worlds. And I think the best part of what I do is to see how I change people on the inside by doing what I do on the outside. So for this year specifically, some highlights. I would definitely say this was probably the year with the most highlights so far, or the biggest ones.
Oh, yay. We caught you at the right year.
So I opened my own practice in 2020, right when COVID hit. And then this year, when I was invited to the AMWC in Monaco, it's a
Yes.
big aesthetic conference.
I was going to say you're going to have to break
Yes.
that down a little bit for us.
That's probably the biggest aesthetics conference in the world. So all the doctors in the world go there. Even the doctors from Botched, the TV show that you see
Yes.
it from America, they are there as well.
Oh, word.
Yes, so when I was there, I won an award, 1 out of 6 awards I won, and I was very shocked. I did not expect that. But as a consequence of that, I was then invited to be a speaker at Kolkata, which is a different aesthetics conference in Georgia, Tbilisi.
So tell us first, so what award did you win? So am I brushing my shoulders today with a world-class celebrity doctor here?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Doctor
but
012 for Pretoria, people.
to start a TV program.
Definitely.
Yes, so it kind of is like the Oscars of the aesthetic world, if
Yeah.
you would say that. And the specific award that I won was for a nose that I did with thread lifting. I think it was quite amazing to also change that nose for that patient, because the results was quite significant, and she was extremely happy.
Well, I can imagine. Just let's talk about a nose for a second. I mean, it's in the middle of your face, but usually at school, and I mean, I used to be mocked at school for the way I used to walk.
Yes.
People tend to, children
Horrible.
can be so cruel.
Absolutely.
And when it's not ears, it's always the nose. They tend to mock other kids.
Yes.
So I can imagine you've changed this woman's life.
It's so interesting that you actually mentioned that, because yesterday I had a 14-year-old girl come into my office
Sure.
wanting to change her nose. So she's not old enough yet to have surgery. So this was kind of their only option. And I did discuss it with a senior colleague of mine. He's a ear, nose and throat plastic surgeon. And he also is the head of the threads that we used for that. She came in for the consultation. She was crying the whole time, because she was so bullied at school, and she's just starting high school. So doing her nose, when we were done, she started laughing, and she was a completely different person. Her
Oh, my
personality just changed. And I think, like you said, bullying really affect people so much. And I think to stop that from happening for the rest of her school career will have such a long-term effect on her life throughout, because bullying, you take it with you for the rest of your life.
One of my questions a little bit later on was going to be at what age
is your practice door actually open for someone? And, for someone to walk in for a consultation at the age of 14, I mean, I really think you've changed that girl's life.
Yeah, that is, I love what I do. We cry a lot at my practice, but good, happy tears. But in general, I would say just like 18, I wouldn't really go younger, but there is exceptions. Like for this girl, and for instance, I had a young girl with a cleft palate who was, had surgery for that, and then her lip was like really botched and also got bullied. So I always weigh the positive with the negative, and I think, even though the patient is young, it's going to have a much more positive impact on her life to do this for her now. But for, obviously the other things like lip fillers and Botox, I wouldn't really go younger than 18.
Before we carry on with all the other interesting things we're going to talk about, for more information, where can people get hold of you?
Okay, so my biggest platform that I use is probably Instagram. So I'm at Dr Melinda Aesthetics.
Yes.
And I love posting before and after photos and the journeys of my patients, because I think people relate a lot to that, and also to like more educate people on what there is to do. I mean, there's now biostimulators, which is very natural. I think if people just go have a look there, they will see that there's so many options instead of just the kind of, botulinum toxin or fillers.
Yeah. What I like about your Instagram page is like, I'm no doctor. I mean, I get to play with food every day, and I also get to call myself an artist. The difference is my end result is usually a gorgeous looking plate of food or something that I put mindfully together. But I like the fact that you also educate people.
Yes.
It's one thing, there's so many people with different opinions out there, like aesthetics is this or that. But
Absolutely.
I love the fact that you sort of show the before and after, and you explain the process.
Yes.
So you educate also your client and your audience. And I think that is quite, phenomenal, because education is key.
Absolutely. I think it's very important, especially because the field of aesthetics is kind of seen as taboo still.
Yeah.
The funny fact is everyone does it. They just lie about it. I've had patients tell me that they tell their friends they will never do this, but they do it. And I think it's great to educate people and showing them that it isn't really taboo. It isn't these harmful things that you're injecting into your body. People have this complete misperception of what aesthetic is.
Yeah.
And it really is a deeper thing than just superficially.
Well, people, then you need to have a look at Dr. Melinda's Facebook page as well as her Instagram. Now, we didn't actually... Facebook, is you also Dr. Melinda Aesthetics on Facebook?
It's also Dr. Melinda Aesthetics, and I definitely do post there as well.
Amazing. I'm dying to still, just jump back to this question now. Self-care, self-love, and being selfish is not the same thing.
No.
Now, your thoughts on that, and where do you see yourself as Dr. Melinda play a role in your service offering?
Well, I feel if you don't take care of yourself, that is selfish, because then you can't be the best version of yourself. And by doing these things, you are really improving your mental health and how you feel. Like 99% of the patients that come to me, we change something on the inside. I had a patient, for instance, she's a woman in her 60s, and she came to me. She looked a little bit standoffish or rude, and we did some chin filler for her. And to everyone else, they might think, that she's done chin filler. But actually, right after the procedure, she started crying. And then my first reaction was, did I do something wrong? Like, what's going on? But in actual fact, she then broke down and told me that she was bullied in school for having a receded chin. And she never thought it was going to affect her this much. So when she came to us, she thought we also going to judge her. And now that she has a chin, she just, started crying, and she's just so happy. So it's very important to see that by taking care of herself and having that, step towards self-love to get this done, even though some people might think it's just chin filler, it is not. And that's why I believe I am there to help people with this journey, to let them know that, it isn't something superficial, if you're doing it for the right reasons. And I mean, and people will always come with like weird arguments like, yes, but God made you the way you did. But God put me on this earth to do what I do. He
100%.
Pushed me into this direction. He wants me to do this for people.
We all have a purpose.
Yes.
And I do 150% believe this is your purpose and your, because it's also your passion. I do think there's a lot of doctors out there, and we can call them the bloopers, because unfortunately there is some, situations and people with end results that they first of all is not happy with, and general public look at and think, oh, that's the standard norm for aesthetics, but it's in fact not the case.
Not at all.
People tend to be quite negative towards aesthetics, and I do believe it's what you say, like rather rather enhance what you have. And
exactly,
yes, there is miracle workers like yourself, to work on those little insecurities, because you might be physically changing something small on the outside, but I think the major change is what you change emotionally
100%
on the inside.
And I think that is where the problem comes in with aesthetics, because a natural result will never be seen. When you walk around outside, you only see the unnatural results. So you never see natural results. So in your brain, people think that is what aesthetics is, because they will only see the overfilled lips or the huge cheekbones or, the protruding upper lip looking like a duck. But the ones that are done naturally, they think they were born naturally with it. So that's where the misperception with aesthetics come in, unfortunately. And I feel like if you do aesthetics for the right reason, like me, it's absolutely my passion. I won't do anything if it looks unnatural to, like with a patient. And I want people to look at someone's face and be like, wow, she looks so good. Like, I don't know, like, did you go on holiday? Like, what's going on? But
you look so revived and
vibrant. Like, wow, like what are you drinking, Yeah. But then actually she had a lips done, she had a chin done, her cheeks, but they will never know. And that's extremely important, is to keep the real results natural and just to enhance the person. And you'll look the same. It will just be a more youthful version of yourself.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Now, let's just bounce back to food a little bit. Now, I always say mindful eating is not a cookbook. It's a change your perception about food book.
Yes.
Now, what would you say is a good relationship with food, and how important is that, especially when looking after your skin?
So first of all, I want to congratulate you on an amazing cookbook. I really love all the recipes, and I love that it's more inclusive to people who's gluten-free. Like my mother has that exact problem, and there's a lot of vegetarian options, and I'm vegetarian. So I love the fact that it's not only healthy, but also it feels like you're cheating on your diet when you're actually not. So just want to congratulate you on that. But then definitely in the recipes itself, there's so many aspects of good food for your skin. I think it's very important to have a healthy relationship with food, not only having the balance, but looking specifically at what you are taking in, because not only is that going to be good on your body, but also your mind. And I'm sure you know much more about that than I do. But with the skin specifically pertaining to aesthetics, for example, if you don't eat vitamins and antioxidants that helps to produce collagen and hydrate the skin, when you come for procedures that we do, it's not really going to give you the results that you are thinking. Because if you have a dry skin, and there's not a lot of collagen production when we do our fillers or our threads or whatever, the results aren't going to be as good because you're not taking care of the inside. Especially, I know you spoke about the fat dissolving injections that we do. Obviously, the fat dissolving injections is going to work amazingly, but you can't now go and eat all these other bad things and kind of reverse what you do and don't understand why now the injections didn't work.
Yeah, I think there's a time and place for everything. And I find that, there is the miracle workers like yourself and people that work in your practice that can really help with that last little bit. But it's still up to the individual to also meet you halfway.
100%.
I'm such a firm believer that you are what you eat. And people always, look at all these little memes you find on social media. Oh, so clearly you're a hamburger or you're a berry.
Or person.
Yes, to be optimally healthy, it's all about taking care of yourself and being aware of what you put in your body. Now, so often I say to people, but you've just consumed or eaten that, or you maybe had that for a drink, but have you ever turned it around and, looked at the ingredients? And then they're like, no. And I'm like, but it's like stopping at the petrol station and not caring whether they put diesel or petrol in your car.
Exactly.
You need to be aware of these things, because clearly you don't want to put the wrong fuel in your car, because you're not going to get to your end destination. So why don't you look at certain things that you put in your body if you're specifically looking after your end result, because then you're not sure whether you're going to get there or not.
Yeah.
And talking about ingredients for the skin, now, of course, it's always about the antioxidants, right?
Yeah,
and love blueberries, of course. That's always a great antioxidant. But guys, I love chocolates. I'll be honest with you. And people always say, like, Izelle, it doesn't look like you eat chocolates. Oh, honey, but I do. It's just the ones that I make at home. And for me, the secret there is the raw cacao. Raw cacao is loaded with antioxidants. also high in calcium. For me, with my, hip problems and joints and stuff like that, calcium is sort of a thing I have to take in on the daily.
Yes.
Cacao is for me, and there's a difference between cocoa and cacao, and it's actually not the spelling. Growing up, I used to think, some people just spell it C-A-C, and other people spell it with a C-O,
yes.
C in the beginning, but the one with the A is in fact the raw, unfiltered, unrefined, the good one, the one that we are looking for, the one that's going to be looking after our skin. So, ladies and gents, I'm giving you an excuse to be consuming chocolate on the daily, and we got Dr. Melinda's
confirm, absolutely. Chocolate a day from Izelle will keep the doctor away. We'll keep the esthetician away.
Well, yes, but necessarily little appointments for checkups and things like that is always important. Recipes, let's talk. Dr. Melinda is in fact a vegetarian, but I'm going to give everyone a tip out there today. If you, for instance, see a recipe that's made with red meat in my book, that recipe goes 100% if you replace the red meat with aubergine. It still is
aubergine.
Exactly the same, and it's just so, it speaks to your soul, because I like good food. I like soul food. And apart from that is, when you look at, for instance, a chicken recipe, you can always, if it's a big piece of chicken, you can replace it with cauliflower. Alternatively, if it's a smaller piece of chicken, you can always replace it with a chickpea. But there is some recipes that's already got the chicken or chickpea option for you as well. That. So if I had to throw you on the deep end and ask, what is your favorite recipe in my book, Melinda, what would you say?
Okay, so I always love blueberries. Every single morning of my life, I eat blueberries, and obviously, it's not just delicious, but you've got the antioxidants and things we want.
Why the skin is all glowing there, doctor? Are you giving your secrets away today?
And the fillers and the botulinum toxin threads. Anyway, I think the blueberry crumble in your book combines all of the self-love. It's comfort food, but at the same time, it's not just a comfort food. It also actually helps with your skin and makes you feel good. So it makes you feel good in more than one aspect.
Okay, well, let's have dessert and look after our skin, ladies and gents. And maybe we can break the recipe down a little bit for listeners. So first of all, blueberries is fantastic because of the antioxidants.
And the vitamin C.
And, if you use frozen blueberries, they're even high in antioxidants, because the whole putting them in the freezer actually changes the whole...
Interesting.
Yeah,
Never
go
knew
and
that.
have it. So often when I feel like a sorbet or like an ice cream element, love frozen blueberries, especially around the pool. But other than that, in the crumble, I only make use of almonds, almond butter, almond flour, and almonds is an alkalizer. It's anti-inflammatory, but it's loaded with vitamin E as well. So yes, you get to eat crumble and look fabulous the day after, honey.
Where were you my whole life?
Now, I'm a firm believer that if you link your passion and your paycheck with each other, you're never going to work a day in your life, and you are radiating just passion right here in studio today. So clearly you hit that nail on the head.
Yeah, no, it definitely never feels like work. Every day I feel like a reward, because every time I do a patient and they are happy, I just feel that. And also it feels like I'm just playing the whole day. I'm sure you feel the same with cooking. It's just fun, and it doesn't feel like work. So I really am passionate about what
I always say to people, I get to play with vegetables for a living. What do you do?
Yes, exactly.
Well, you get to change people's lives for the better on a daily basis. So you must be going to bed every night with a very, very happy heart.
Yes, well, of course, it's also a stressful job, because, I think, like you, if you're very ambitious, you want the best for everyone, and, it is stressful, but at the same time, it's completely worth it. But I do, go home with a happy heart of what happened during the day.
How important is giving back when it comes to living a mindful life? Because that is, in fact, the key to happiness.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. It's very important to give back, and not only I give back by being able to give a person their confidence back, which is very important. I do believe that everything I do and achieve, it's not mine. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to God, because He's obviously the one that put me here and helped me with the success. So I think giving back is very important, and especially in my line of work, I see a lot of, people in difficult situations. Like I have a patient who was in a car accident, and her entire face was burned, and people with cleft palates, people, with all sorts of difficult situations. I just, in my heart, I know when I have to give back and, tell that patient, listen, I'm just going to do this for you. Don't worry about anything, because they have other expenses that's very bad. And I feel like I need to give back to people. And that really gives a lot of satisfaction in your work if you are able to give back, because like you said, that is the key to happiness.
Yeah. I mean, I think it must be so hard for you, because where do you actually draw the line? When does it become, an emotional thing or an emotional person on your bed or maybe in your consultation room, because sometimes they might walk in there with a certain budget, but you can see the need for help is there. And on the other side, you also get those patients that when is enough?
Yes, so it is difficult, the emotional part, because I like giving so much and things like it. Sometimes people are like, "What are you doing?" Like my accountant will be like, "You're going to be like without money any day sooner." But on the other hand, when is enough? I think it's really patient dependent, absolutely, because like for instance, big lips might suit a certain face and not another face, and I think it's very important as the role of the aesthetic doctor to be able to be open with your patient and tell them when enough is enough. I think it's when you start crossing that barrier of looking unnatural for the patient themselves. Like I said, every individual is different and, have different needs.
Okay, and what can we expect from Dr. Melinda in the near future?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know. No, I'm kidding. So I opened a new practice this year in Garsfontein, and there's lots of rooms. So I have 3 other doctors there working with me now, and I'd love to expand it. I love talking, so I think I definitely want to educate more, especially on the lips that I do, because lips is a very difficult procedure.
You are quite famous for your lips. Let's just not hide that one.
Thank you. Yeah, I think lips is a very difficult procedure to do. You have to have an artistic side, and I think just injecting volume isn't the way to go. So that's why I'm passionate about also educating on that, how to look at certain lip, how to approach it, and not just pump filler in. Like the talk I had in Kolkata. So I would definitely like to have more international speakings to do and, things like that.
Okay. I always encourage people from all walks of life to rethink what they put in their bodies. But I also think today we can just be reminded that it's also about how you look after yourself on the outside.
Yes.
I mean, your skin is one of your biggest organs. And yes from an Izelle and eating and cooking perspective, I can sort of, not that I judge, but your skin, you can only hide so much, and it's always going to show you your lifestyle.
Yes,
if you had a very hectic, big on partying, being on the out, and again, being social and partying is also not the same thing. You can still be social and not consume all the things that is quite acidic.
Yes.
But I mean, those are the things that is going to show on your skin. So that is also a hard one, because there's also only so much doctors can do if a patient is not doing their way.
Just talking about socializing, smoking, for instance, you get those smokers lines above the lips, and we can treat them with skin boosters and fillers. But if the patient keeps smoking, it's going to kind of reverse the effects. So definitely, the things that you put in your body, the foods that you put in the body, alcohol, the dehydrates, all of that is going to make our lives a bit difficult when it comes to procedures. And you might do these procedures and think, why isn't my results like the previous person that you did? It's 50-50%. It's really up to the patients to also take care of their body on the inside.
Well, there you have it from Dr. Melinda Burger's lips. And also, as author and motivational speaker Jim Rohn always used to say, take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. From my side, till next time, goodbye.
Bye.
I'm Izelle Hoffman. Thanks for joining me as we journey towards mindful living. Find more at jacarandafm.com. Click on Jackpot.